Hi and welcome back to Armchair Pundits. We've been gone for a while, but we're back. World Cup is over. Premier League is 2-3 weeks away.
Yep.
So we're going to get back on to what we've got to talk about. First of all, we've got pre-season friendlies, which have started. We've had Liverpool losing 1-0. We've had Man United winning 7-0. We've had Tottenham winning 3-2. You've had Man City winning 4-1. So the ball is rolling. But this first welcome back show will break down over the next few shows all the Premier League teams, who they've bought, who they've let go, where they're going to finish up in the end, all little stuff like that. So we're going to first off start with the champions, Man City. They've brought in, from what we can see, 3 players. A youngster called Zuccolini. They've brought in Fernando from Porto. And the final person they brought in is Sanya on a free, which is a lot of people question why, but we'll probably see why going in the future. So, Cyril, what's your view on Man City's incomings?
I actually like Senya as a purchase because he's a really versatile defender. He can actually fill in the centre back, which is a problem that Man City have had historically, with only Di Michaelis and Company being the only pliable centre backs they have. They have Nastasic, but
it was injuries that cost him last year.
Yeah,
the year before he was very good, but last year injuries killed him.
Yeah. So Man City, they haven't really. It's tough to strengthen when you're that deep. Your squad is that deep anyway. I suppose they could buy a first class centre back to partner Company. But other than that, I think they made a couple of decent signings. Nothing too. They haven't splashed the cash yet, really. Basically, they're just ticking over.
Any views, Liam? So maybe on a centre back that they might be looking to sign, or who you think they should sign?
Well, they've been looking at Mangala from Porto.
Okay.
And he would fit in quite nicely, you'd think, next to Company because he's also left-footed, so he adds balance to the back line. Other than that, I think where Man City lacked a little bit last year was, I would say, a little bit on the creative side. They had Yaya Toure bursting from midfield, and when Silva was fit, it's fine. But there was often times where Silva wasn't fit, and he was rushed back. The same thing with Aguero, he was rushed back a lot, and I think that's one of the reasons why he kept getting injured.
Is it because of Jovicic's injury? Maybe that was part of the reason why?
That's a good point, because we haven't really been able to see Jovic. He's one of the guys who when he was signed, he looked like he was going to be a really good signing for them because of his versatility. He can play anywhere behind the striker, any side of the pitch. But for me, it's normal service for them. They brought in Fernando, which is a really good defensive midfielder.
Very good. Hopefully.
Sitting there, and with Fernandinho, you're then labelling Yaya to then push forward, and give that extra option with Silva.
So you've got potential, because obviously with Man City and Chelsea, for instance, last year Chelsea came and said, you know what, we're just going to lock it down. We're gonna destroy you in midfield. So do you see them having, I don't know, against the Chelsea, Fernandinho and Fernando, and then having Yaya Toure ahead of them, and Silva and one other wide?
You got to remember, against Chelsea, I don't think Aguero was fit for that game as well. So that allowed Chelsea. Aguero would have caused slow plodding players like John Terry a lot more problems than Man City caused them last season. So if Aguero can stay fit, he missed, I want to say, a third of the season last year, which hampered them a lot because he's the best player in the build. He's the best player in that team. So if Aguero can stay fit, I think that they don't need to go that defensive against Chelsea because Chelsea will sit in a really deep block anyway, and so they can probably still continue with one of Fernandinho and Fernando, have Yaya Toure, and then Nasri and Silva to try and help creative side there.
Okay, so where do you think they'll end up?
First,
they're the champions.
I think it's going to be 1 or 2 points between them and Man United.
We'll all laugh later. Anyway, yeah.
I think Man City will finish second this year. Yeah. I think it's injuries that will cost them. They've got a really deep squad, but somehow I think I know who might win it this year.
Yeah, I think the problem with City is that even though the squad is deep, if Aguero gets injured, the drop off is quite significant, so that might be hampering.
My prediction: they will finish first and win the league. Unfortunately, hopefully, we'll come in second again. So we'll move on. We'll move on to obviously Liverpool, who finished second last season. Who obviously, let's just get it over and done with now. Suarez, the biter, has gone. And is there going to be a massive drop off? Maybe. Are Liverpool going to fall into the depths of 7th like they did before? I doubt it personally. Are we going to, sorry Leon, but are we going to do a Tottenham and then spend all that money unwittingly destroying ourselves at the same time? Or is Brendan Rodgers a shrewd person who's going to buy players who are used to the Premier League and used to his system? For me, he's really started on the role of players that are used to the system and players that are used to the Premier League.
Personally, I don't like the Tottenham thing. All came off the rails because the signings weren't what the manager wanted. Brendan Rodgers is bringing in players that he wants, and that's key. No matter, if you're, it's all good bringing 4 or 5 players in. That's not the problem. The manager has to want to buy those players, and if he wants them, there's no reason why it shouldn't work. I don't think Liverpool will suffer as much as everyone thinks. They're still buying at the moment, by the looks of things, and what they brought in has definitely improved their depth of their squad to deal with the Champions League, to deal with those things. I still think they could do with another DM, a real enforcer, and obviously a striker.
Emre Can? I think
no, but Emre Can's not
ready
really a DM. He's more of a link guy. He can sit in there, but he's more of a deep lying kind of playmaker. He likes to spread the ball. He's more like a Xabi Alonso. He won't sit and he's not going to just throw himself at the ball, or he's not going to do that kind of Makalele role that you want. But he's tidy in possession, kind of a better version of maybe a Joe Allen.
But do we need maybe Rodgers doesn't want that guy. He doesn't want a Mascherano or a Makalele, or maybe that's not what he needs.
In saying that though, you did concede an awful lot of goals last year, so I would say that
it was needed.
It was needed because the defensive line was basically, it came under pressure in big games when you've got Gerrard and Henderson there. Gerrard's not mobile. Henderson did a good job for the most part, but the defense was still left to expose on occasion, and the centre backs were. Well, Scott, everyone knows how I feel about them. I think Scott was quite poor. I
think Emre Can is more of a Gerrard replacement.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
Because Gerrard's not a natural DM, and they actually need someone, a better version of Lucas to be in there.
You need upgrades.
Lucas was good, but he's fallen off from injuries.
Ever since his knee injury, he's not been the same. He hasn't come back. And Gerrard's all well and good spraying passes and stuff like that, but when he needs to protect the back line, when he needs to do a dirty job, he's not. He doesn't. It's kind of like it's above him, and they need players next to him to do that job for him. And that's just, if you're playing in the Champions League now, you're not going to be playing, bottom half teams every other week where you can score 3-4 goals. You're going to be playing the elites of Europe, and having Gerrard there as a DM with Lucas or Henderson.
I do hear that, but obviously Liverpool are there to win the Champions League. But it's not like, at the end of the day, we're in it to win it. Every time Liverpool have been in the Champions League, bar one season, we've got out of group stages and done well. So people can laugh if they want to laugh, but the simple fact is, Rodgers goes into competitions to win it. Are we going to get to the final? It's very, 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 very doubtful that can happen. But they're having a DM because of the Champions League. It's one step at a time. At this point, we're just buying players it's building blocks. That's where I see it. It's building blocks now. We can't go out and just buy what exactly what we need, because we have to take it bit by bit. Otherwise, we will have that problem where we've got too many players to keep happy, etc., etc. We've got to build it bit by bit. From what I'm looking at, I'm happy with the Markovic signing. I'm happy with the Lallana signing. A lot of Liverpool fans aren't happy with the Lambert signing, but I can see where I see he's going to score us goals. If he gets us 10 to 15 goals this season for 4 million, that's a snip. So for me, Liverpool, I can't say we're going to finish first or second. I'm hoping we're going to finish second, but I honestly believe we'll stay in the top 4. A lot of people will say no way. Leon may have another idea. Obviously with his Tottenham.
I think Liverpool will finish in the top 4. I actually think they'll finish 4th this year.
I can't see it personally. I think the drop. People are really underestimating the drop off in not having Suarez in that team is going to cause Liverpool. The fear factor is probably going to be completely gone. I think Liverpool are going to finish 5th, potentially 6th.
Now, see, we all respect everyone's opinions, but the drop off will happen. But it's the improvement of the other players. The other players that were there last year are still going to be able to improve. So, we'll see what happens. Moving on to the team that finished 3rd, which a lot of people think will win the league. That's in Chelsea. Now, Chelsea have made some shrewd signings in signing Fabregas. They've signed Felipe Luis, which is, for me, is a great signing for left back. Courtois and Diego Costa. So they bought 3 players that got to the Champions League final and won the Spanish Cup, the Spanish League. Sorry. So Mourinho's done a good job again.
Me, I'm gonna go out and say I actually think Chelsea will win the league this year. The reason I think that is the idea of Chelsea trying to play really attractive football has already been thrown out the window. With these exact signings, Luis Felipe, he's a very, very good defender. He's an exceptional defender. Going forward, he's okay, but he's not risky. He doesn't bomb forward all the time. He's very, very clever. He's smart. Fabregas,
he's got a link with
Fabregas, as great as a passer Fabregas is, he's still in the mold of Mourinho. He's someone who can pass, he can score goals from midfield, which is always what Mourinho is able to get out of his midfielders, his goals from midfield. And he's very functional. When you think about how Fabregas plays, he's not skillful flair. He's got that in Hazard and Oscar and Salah and Schürrle. But Diego Costa, he's basically brought back a version of Drogba. Not as good as Drogba, but who knows what Diego Costa could be this season. For me, with the squad that they've got now, I actually think Chelsea will win the league. And it may not be pretty, but Mourinho is a winner, and that's where I'm going.
I'll be honest with you, when you look at this squad on paper, this squad, especially the first 11, is probably better, just slightly better than City's, because you can't pick out any weaknesses anymore, where you could have potentially done that last season where they had to rely on Bar or Torres, and basically most of the goals were coming from midfield, you know, say with Hazard and Oscar and Willian having to chip in. But now they've got that out and out striker who's gonna do damage. I assume Costa can get 20 goals in the Premier League if he stays fit. And defensively, Chelsea have always been solid. You know, with that low block protecting Terry and Cahill, and they bought Felipe Luis, who's basically a slightly younger version of Ashley Cole, who doesn't bomb forward. He's not going to create too many chances, but he's going to defend really well. And then they've got Aspilicueta and Ivanovic to play right back. There's no real weaknesses in the Chelsea team. There's a lot of strength, a lot of power there. They've basically just gone on a step from last year. I think Hazard still has a step to go. He didn't have a really, really good World Cup, but he played really well in parts of last season. So
they've still got players to implement, because Matic, someone asked me the question earlier today, who is the best DM in the Premier League? And I said it's either Matic or Fernandinho. And you can't really argue.
Yeah, Matic was a really good signing in January.
Van Hinkel is coming back in.
Mourinho wasn't that impressed with Matic last season though, apparently. He wasn't impressed with some of his performances, but in the big games, Matic
he stepped up.
Yeah, right there, man. Right there.
Chelsea keeps so many clean sheets as well, and you know they're adding attacking options that I don't think the defensive capability is going to drop off. If anything, they're going to get better.
It doesn't.
And the offensive capabilities can only get better.
They've only got at least 10 goals with Fabregas and 20 goals with
it's actually quite scary looking at the Chelsea starting 11. I don't really see where.
But do you see Aspilicueta getting pushed out then?
No, he's playing right back. Basically, Terry, Ivanovic, and Cahill are rotating. They're rotating. They have to. Terry struggled at times last year.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the season.
And we've seen what happens to Terry when he's not given 5, 6 players to protect him. He's completely exposed. He's got no pace whatsoever at this point. So
it's quite. Did he ever?
Well, he never had pace, but
he read the game extremely well.
Yeah, he read the game extremely well. It's like a Mercer.
He always
never had position.
Carvalho next to him.
Yeah. So now Chelsea really they want the strongest package per se.
2 outstanding goalkeepers. Jeez.
I think Czech has to go.
Marino said he's keeping both of them.
That doesn't make sense.
Said they get
At least
they're
one
upset.
season.
Yeah, if they're upset, but he's keeping both.
At least one season.
I guess yeah, because it's going to be tough to get rid of Czech.
And not only that, as good as Courtois is, Premier League is a different league to the Liga. So he's going to need Czech to still possibly coach him through this season. So, Leon, you said they're finishing first.
I think they're finishing top.
Cyril?
Second.
Me, I think they're going to finish either first or third.
Well, you've already said Man City top.
Yeah, so
As I said, first or third. If Man City don't win it, then Chelsea will win it. So I say third.
But they finished third.
Because I want Liverpool to finish second.
Alright.
I think they'll
Okay,
finish
I see
third.
what you're
stop sitting
saying.
on the damn fence.
I see what you're saying.
Third.
Alright.
Okay.
So,
Next team.
moving on to Arsenal, who finished 4th last season. They've bought Debussy after losing Sanya. Some will argue they've actually got a better player.
Slight downgrade.
People say slight downgrade,
Downgrade.
but
There's no
and
way.
obviously different managers see different things.
No way.
For the French team, Sanya was the number 2, Debussy was the number 1. Who knows what they believe? Then obviously there's a possibility of Vermaelen leaving to Man United. We don't know if that's going to happen. Is it really going to affect him? Well, last season we probably would have said no. And then obviously the big one, they've bought Alexis Sanchez. Is Sanchez going to be the guy that stops them from dropping off and takes them to a proper title challenge this season? Because let's be honest, last year it wasn't a title challenge. After February, the Arsenal syndrome hit.
Arsenal's season came off the rails with the big games last year. You think of all the big games they played, I think they got draws against most of them.
And they lost most of them.
Well, there you go.
They beat
lost.
Liverpool.
I was trying to think of a win in my head,
No.
and I could only
Only
think
Liverpool.
of draws,
Yeah.
apart
Don't
from
think they won.
defeats. That Liverpool's the only game they won.
They lost pretty
So,
much every big game.
for one guy to make that much of a change,
No, it's not one guy. Because Ramsey missed a lot of those big games.
Yeah, Ramsey did.
When
but-
Ramsey got injured, the big games came and then they floundered. Because let's be honest, when they beat Liverpool, Ramsey was the man of the match.
He was.
And then his injury killed their season, let's be honest.
Yeah, because he didn't play up until from January to
But
No, before
but
that-
could Ramsey have kept it up that whole season?
I don't think so.
Who knows?
But
Who
we
knows?
don't.
Yeah, we don't know. But as I said,
The way he was looking, they looked like there was no stopping him. Because
Yeah,
every obstacle that's thrown in front of him, he was just going through them.
But we've
going
seen
round
that
him.
before, where players burst through and then they have a really good first half of the season,
Same
and
thing
then they
happened with
fall
Ozil.
off. Yeah, then they fall
Started
off the
off really
second
well.
half.
But Ozil was a different matter though, because everyone knew that Ozil wasn't really going to be up for a fight. He's not that kind of guy. And when it came down to it,
I think, but
second half of the season, Ozil was the first time he has a winter break. When you factor in his winter break for certain people, it has an effect.
But then the
So
problem with
Ozil's drop-off was understandable.
the drop off is always going to happen with Arsenal because the squad depth isn't really there in terms of quality players to fill in. So when something happened to Walcott, when something happened to Ramsey, their season was over because they didn't really have anyone to come in and do even a semi-reasonable job as they were doing before. And in, I don't consider Giroud even a remotely elite striker. So with
he's not really. If you look,
So do they need to? Should they have been buying Remy then?
they should have been. I thought they should have been buying Remy, but I'm assuming Wenger's thinking Alexis can just slot in there, play as a potential number 9 when needed, and give Giroud the rest he needs. Because
he can play as a false 9. But
yeah, it was a false 9.
It might come back and bite us, but I can't see him actually succeeding in the Premier League as a proper number 9.
Yeah, I'm assuming. I'm just thinking of what Wenger's thinking about because I thought Remy would have been his type of signing, and the fact that he didn't really go for it meant that I'm assuming that he's already got cover in that
when you
position.
think about Arsenal's team, and you think about their attacking players, if you look at Podolski, Walcott, Sanchez, and
They can all play through the middle
Giroud.
at some point. Just
Giroud,
well, not
Ox,
like they can all kind of play. Apart from Podolski, who's so left-footed, he can only play left or up top.
yeah,
They're floaters.
yeah, true.
So really, they're giving themselves another option with Sanchez, but Walcott wants to play up top. Podolski wanted to play up top when he burst onto the scene,
he was happy he got a number
and
9 shirt.
Sanchez got put up top when he was at Barcelona, and it worked for the most part in certain games where Messi was trying to drop in to midfield. It was Sanchez who was making that dance through the middle. So for me, Arsenal will. I actually think they for the first time they will drop out of the top 4 this season.
Sanchez is going to be none and void.
No, he's going to be a good signing, but I still don't think
It's
he's
not
going to make a
enough.
difference.
Yeah, it's-
I just think the other teams have more.
The other teams will have more, especially if there's still so much of the transfer window to go, and we're expecting more signings as
I just think
managers
there's-
get
the
used
other
to
teams
their
are better
Yeah.
than Arsenal.
They've got defensively. Arsenal, in my opinion, have got weaker with the selling of Sanya and bringing in of.
Yeah,
of
I
Debuchy.
agree with that as well.
There's no way I can. From watching so much of Newcastle, I've seen Debuchy play a lot, and to say he's an upgrade on Sanya is just.
I just don't
criminal.
think he has the mentality.
And he's a massive yellow card magnet as well. He's going to be banned for a couple of games in the season.
That's
as
if
well.
he plays the same way. He's not going to be defended as much. He's going to have more of the ball, so less chance to get yellow cards. Arsenal hold the possession. So for me, I think Arsenal finished 5th or 6th.
That's what I'm going with.
Yeah,
5th.
I can
I'm
see
going
him
with 5th.
dropping out. I can see Arsenal dropping out of the top 4.
So we all agree on that.
Okay, so that has been our top 4 roundup. All of you guys listening, you can have your own view. You can write on our Twitter feed. You can write on our YouTube page as well. See what you think. Whether you think we're talking nonsense, whether you agree with what we're saying. I'm pretty sure there's some of you who support certain teams who say we're talking nonsense. So I don't mind. Football's all about opinions.
Yeah.
None of us mind, do we?
Nope.
So keep them coming. Next episode, we'll focus on the teams that finish 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. And then we'll go on until we get to the brand new teams that have come up. So, thanks for listening. See you soon.
Good night.
Right?